As Apawu embarks on nationwide strike over failure of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to complete the review of their conditions of service, which expired in 2008.
And that is why we think that we have come to a point where we can no longer bear the frustration. We have to go and sit our somewhere and think of ourselves.
We have more on this, plus details from a Crunch stakeholders meeting which ended a short while ago.
Also in this bulletin.
Oh, there be me reject it. Me that.
Corona me di say nyame wa fani na.
We haven't seen any cases that's arise as maybe.
The skepticism about the reality of COVID-19.
They don't know it's rising. The disease is there, and some even say they thought it's gone. It needs thorough education.
We'll tell you what a municipal assembly is doing to cure the ignorance, and also hear from the Food and Drugs Authority, which is debunking claims of the availability and sale of COVID-19 vaccines in some hospitals.
And in business, Chinese firm CHY was dippings as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center begins separate investigations into their activities after accusing them of going against investment regulations.
And later in sports, General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Harrisonado, insists that development of the Black Starlet remains a priority despite their exit from the WAFU Under-17 AFCON.
And I have a health alert. Be wary of stray dogs because there's an outbreak of rabies in parts of the country.
We have outbreaks all over the country. People die quietly or they die with some horrific deaths.
You want to stay for details of that report that comes up later in the bulletin. Please join us also with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp is 055-1111-997. If you're watching on Facebook Live also, we are happy to have you. And also leave your comments there. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Ernest. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. Now, it's barely 24 hours to the first sitting of the Supreme Court on the election petition filed by the 2020 NDC presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama. Now, Mr. Mahama is in the Apex Court asking that it annuls the election result and allows a runoff between himself and the NPP's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Court correspondent Joseph Akable looks ahead on what to expect tomorrow.
Some people have asked me what I hope to gain by challenging the results of this election. Let me tell you, I want perhaps the very same thing that my opponent wanted when in 2012 he challenged the results of that election. I want the removal of doubt.
The NDC candidate is asking the Apex Court to rule that the election results as declared by the EC breach the constitution since no candidate got more than 50% of the votes cast. He's asking that the court announce the results and orders a runoff between himself and the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo.
I want for all of us to know that our elections should be free, fair, and safe, and that we do not have to settle for a process that leaves us confused and with more questions than answers. I want a Ghana where institutions of state can be held to account, where we can stand on principle and demand transparency without the risk of losing our lives. When people lose their lives, as 7 people have done in the course of our elections, we're moving backwards, not forward. We're unraveling the very fabric of our democracy. We're risking the loss of 3 decades worth of progress.
Mr. Akufo-Addo's lawyers and lawyers for the Electoral Commission have since filed responses to the petition. They contend the petition does not disclose any attack on the validity of the election held in 38,622 polling stations. They also say the allegation of vote padding involving some 6,622 votes is empty and insignificant to materially affect the outcome of the election. They have therefore served notice of an initial objection to be raised, urging the Apex Court to dismiss the petition. They want a date to be fixed for legal arguments. Other documents related to the case cited by Joy News reveals a hearing date fixed for Thursday, January 14. Mr. Mahama's lawyers in these documents are asking to be allowed to correct mistakes in the petition. A key issue to be corrected is a request that the Apex Court allows a runoff between Mr. Mahama and the Electoral Commission instead of Nana Akufo-Addo.
That's court correspondent Joseph Akable bringing us what to expect, and then also like a wrap of everything that has happened, the journey so far to where we are. But let's speak to lawyer Abraham Amaleba. He's director legal at the NDC headquarters. Currently, my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson is also with a member of the legal team of the NPP, Mr. Lawyer Frank Davis. We'll bring that to you shortly. But let's start with lawyer Abraham Amaleba. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So, will we say, or safe to say, that all is set for tomorrow?
Yes, on our part, all is set. We intend to move our motion tomorrow, which motion is meant to correct some mistakes, which are not fatal anyway, but we needed to do that. So we are all set for tomorrow.
Well, one issue that keeps coming up, at least today, it's trending on Twitter, for instance. I know that the current rules allow the court to permit live telecast of proceedings if it decides to do so. But I also know that it looks like Mr. John Mahama, through his lawyers, are asking for a live telecast tomorrow. Where exactly are we on this? And do we have a clarity at this stage whether the hearing will be live?
We have made this known to the entire country at the time of filing this petition. I was on record to have said that we would demand for that. This is to fulfill the request that our flag bearer has access to do. And so today, we filed that request at the Supreme Court. Yes, it is true that the new rules allow for live coverage, but we do not want to leave anything to chance. If we read the portion of the provision that provides for the live coverage, that provision does not speak in terms that are mandatory. It speaks in terms that are allow the court some discretion. So it says may provide live telecast. And so we also didn't want to leave anything to chance. And so there was a need for us to make that request.
But since that request was made, I don't know how.
I think we'll get to know that tomorrow. We expect tomorrow will also be the pre-trial stage, or if you want, case management stage, where all these things will be put into perspective, and then the court can give us direction as to how to go about these things.
Okay.
And Mr. Maleba, you know that the Electoral Commission and lawyers of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that's the first and second respondent, have filed an initial objection to the petition. And as you lawyers will say, they want a technical knockout. Have you filed your responses to that yet, or that will be argued out later in court?
No. That preliminary objection was intimated in their answer. They did not file a separate, if you want it, application to deal with that matter. And so the pre-trial stage or the case management stage will also deal with their preliminary legal objection. But in my view, that will be suicidal to curtail the hearing of this matter at the very stage that it is supposed to commence. Will be suicidal for this nation. I think that the people of this country are agog, wanting to hear and know what happened in our elections. And so that request is premature on the part of the MPP. That request is an attempt, a clandestine attempt to have the people of this country not to hear what happened or transpired during the election.
Do you perchance know the justices who will be sitting on the case, on the petition, and are there any indications of objecting to any of them?
Well, that has not been made known to us. And once again, at the pre-trial conference, or if you want case management conference, it's at that stage that we may know the panel, and if there's need to do some background checks, or if there's a need to object and to ask any of them to recuse himself, we will not shy away from that.
You already have names you're hoping to object to?
No, we don't go to court fixated and saying that if this judge is there, we will not want to have him sit on the case. We will go with an open mind, hoping that the panel will be fair to all of us, hoping that the panel will be one that one will not have questions to ask about, We do not intend to raise issues that will prolong the trial, but we shall also put our best foot forward to protect the interests of our client, who is a petitioner. And so if there's a need to do that objection, we will not shy away.
As I indicated, my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson is with a member of the legal team of the NPP as well. Already, I'm picking information that he says they will oppose the motion filed by Mr. John Dramani Mahama asking the Supreme Court to allow him correct a mistake in the election petition he filed. Surprised at that?
Very much surprised. In fact, we could have waited at the pre-trial stage or case management stage to just intimate to the courts. What is this mistake? This mistake is just about referring to the EC as first respondent when we indeed intended to refer to the second respondent. And so if you are opposing that, we have sent our case to court. We are saying that it's not Mr. A. We are not referring to Mr. A. We are referring to Mr. B. And you said you will not allow that. Any lawyer will tell you that these are matters that are common, where you have a typo, and then on the day of the hearing, you can rise up and draw the court's attention, and that will be corrected, and then you can proceed. To have the lawyers of Akufo-Addo, who are well experienced, to say that they will oppose it, on what grounds? This is not an amendment that is going to substantially change the grounds of our petition. We are not changing the grounds of our petition, which is against the new CI. It's a typo, and you think that the Supreme Court will say that we shouldn't do that correction?
At least he agrees with you on one thing, a live coverage, he says, that they will support. But we're grateful for your time. Ms. Lawyer Abraham Amaliba, and that's the head of the legal team of the NDC. He's the director legal at the NDC headquarters, Abraham Amaliba. And we'll go to Parker-Wilson now?
Yes, we'll go to Parker-Wilson. He's been speaking to one of the team members, the legal team members of the NPP, or President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Frank Davis spoke to Parker a while ago. Let's listen to that.
But before then, let's bring in Parker-Wilson. I'm sure he's still with Lawyer Frank Davis at this point. Kwesi Parker-Wilson, so what are the issues that came up in your interaction with Lawyer Frank Davis?
Well, Emefa, Lawyer Frank Davis says that the NPP is equally set for tomorrow. They are ready with their document and going to indicate again that indeed their client, that is the President Dankwa Akufo-Addo, won the 2020 election massively with over 500,000 votes. And that, as you indicated, the amendment, the petitioner or the NDC or John Mahama and his legal team seeks to amend in court tomorrow, they are going to oppose it. So you can listen to him.
It's left for his lawyers to come and say tomorrow. So yes, tomorrow, we're going to be in court tomorrow, but they have a motion or notice for leave to amend the amended writ / amended petition. Well, we are cognizant of the fact that the petition that they filed in the Supreme Court was riddled with unavoidable errors, variously describing the second respondent, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency the President of the Republic, as the first respondent, when at all material times he is the second respondent, to the extent that they asked for a rerun with the first respondent.
But that's what you're seeking to correct.
And the first respondent, just kindly, when you were speaking, I was quiet. The first respondent is the Electoral Commission. So it would seem as if John Dramani Mahama wants a rerun with either the Electoral Commission as a body or with Jean Mensah. So it will be JM against JM.
But some lawyers have described the errors as not being fatal, and so I mean they are allowed to do that, and it was just a simple error, a typographical error. So perhaps the tangent about GM seeking a rerun with Jean Mensah might be a little inaccurate.
I am not a justice of the Supreme Court. I did not draft the pleadings for John Mahama's legal team. They will be in the best position to tell the Supreme Court what has happened. I don't term it as a simple mistake or not being fatal. Some lawyers can say that. It is up to the Supreme Court to put an interpretation on what they have done. Coyly, so to speak, they have sought leave to amend. So tomorrow we will be in court. But amendment, like I said to you earlier, is even fraught with much more difficulties and mistakes and the non-fatal errors that you speak to. So let's wait and see what the Supreme Court.
So what should we expect from the MPP side tomorrow?
Oh, there is nothing to expect. We have filed an affidavit in opposition to that application. So it will be left to the justices to determine the fate of the application. I always say, I'm not a clairvoyant. I'm just a lawyer, so I cannot predict what the justices of the court will say. I can only go, or we can only go as lawyers and make our submissions. It's up to the court to rule. After hearing arguments from both sides. So yes, there's an application to amend. So the court will do what it has to do.
So after the amendment, is there expectation that maybe the court would allow you to quickly determine the case of the opposition you filed in response to the NDC's petition?
Well, definitely, the Supreme Court, we all know from the outset that unlike the last time in 2013 that the petition dragged on for well over 8 months, the Supreme Court, in its own wisdom, has short-circuited the process, and now the time frame allowed is 42 days. So, yes, tomorrow after the motion for leave to amend is taken, I'm very certain in my mind that the Supreme Court will give directions as to the timetable for the resumption of the actual petition itself.
But you yourself want the petition itself right from the onset to be quashed because you.
And so that's Kwesi Parker-Wilson, that interview with lawyer Frank Davis. Parker is still with us on the line. Parker, on the issue of the live telecast, which the NDC is seeking the court to order, what was his response?
Right, so Frank Davis says that the NDC has been very inconsistent with their position on the outcome of the 2020 presidential results. Now, according to him, the General Secretary of the party, Deputy General Secretary, and the Communications Officer, that is Sambi James, have all indicated in the past that the NDC won the elections, and they were quite surprised that in their petition to the Supreme Court, John Mahama and the NDC even failed to let the court know the vote that they garnered in the election and that of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo as well. So those support any live telecast the NPP will put forward because they want the whole world to know that indeed the party is inconsistent and have not been truthful with Ghanaians as far as the election is concerned.
It is not novel. There's precedent to that. The 2013 presidential election petition was telecast live. And all Ghanaians saw what transpired in court. What is new? We are not averse. We actually also demand a live telecast. So the Ghanaians will see into the hollowness of the election petition and the unnecessary unrest that the whole country has been put to. You say in one breath that you have won. And then when it matters most, you go to court, you are asking for a rerun without any basis. The whole Ghana will see what will happen in the Supreme Court.
So that's lawyer Frank Davis there interacting with my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson. We'll get more of that interview in our subsequent bulletins. But even before we start the 42-day journey, there are a lot of questions. I've seen them on our WhatsApp console. Unfortunately, I can't give you answers. But one person who can give you the right answers at this point is a private legal practitioner and host of The Law on the Joy News channel. Well, that's what he does on the Law every Sunday at 2 p.m. Lawyer Samson Ladia Yenene, thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So we are starting the whole journey tomorrow. The public wants to know what to expect.
Right. By the new rules, every activity is tied to a specific time. So after the petition was filed, it was expected to be delivered to the respondents, Nana Akufo-Addo and Jean Mensah, or Jean Mensah and Akufo-Addo, within 2 days. If there was a failure or inability to do so, the courts would have said a substituted service, which will be served including through 2 daily national days, and then would have come to the attention. And then within that, they were supposed to file their answer or if you like, their defense within 10 days. As we know, they have filed their answer, and the timeline as provided in the new rules require that the court would have issued a notice to them, giving them within 48 hours to appear before the court for what is known as the case management, and which we suspect might happen tomorrow, but it's likely to happen after the motion to make the amendment has been taken, and also perhaps the court may be minded to give direction to the effect that the preliminary legal objection that is being sought to be raised by both the first and second respondents may be taken before it gives a direction to how the whole trial pan. Because the possibility is that the preliminary legal objection must always be taken before, because it goes to the substance, must be taken before the trial, because it's possible that when that is taken, the case might be terminated prematurely. It can end right there, and therefore there will not be a need for a trial. Otherwise, we'll be counting to the 21st day after the first answer was delivered, and that is the day on which the trial will start, and then it will end on the 15th day, and then by the 21st day the trial will period of 6 days, and then after which from the 21st day to the 42nd day, the court will require them to file their legal submissions as in addresses, and then it will give its judgment within that period.
And so just for clarity, you're saying that the 42 days will start counting after the preliminary objections have been heard and the justices have pronounced on it?
No, by the schedule that the law provides, once the answer is delivered, the dates begin to run. And so the court says that once by the 10th day, they appear, after they have received the petition, they are supposed to appear for the case management, the pre-trial. Then that is where they will determine a whole host of things. And that appears to occur tomorrow. Now, the hearing is supposed to commence from the 15th day to the 21st day. So the court will make the decision as to whether there will be a live telecast and all of that during the trial session, which is the case management session, which is supposed to happen from the 10th day. And then they will be told everything, what will happen is if the court doesn't take the decision that the preliminary objection must be heard before it gives further direction. But I suspect it is possible that it will say you take the preliminary objection first, because the law requires that now you hint at the objection in your answer, and they have done so. And it says that you file written argument so that you may not have to be required to come to the courtroom to now make the argument. So you file your written argument, and then the one you are filing against may also reply as well. Okay. And then the court, without you necessarily being there doing, will give you a date to render its decision. And my suspicion is that it could decide that it will deal with that first. And once it's done with that, then it will let them know how issues will go. Because the determination of that can terminate the case prematurely. There will be nothing to, manage afterwards.
Okay, we're grateful. I'm sure the initial questions have been answered. As we go along, we'll get the opportunity to ask more questions. And I'm sure I can almost produce the law on Sunday right now. I'm sure that's what we'll be talking about. So you get the opportunity to ask more questions on Sunday at 2 p.m. on the law with Samson Ladiayenene. Sounds of some of the aggrieved members of the University of Ghana branch of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, as they protest demanding a finalization of the new conditions of service which expired in 2008. Today, members of the union across the country refused to work. Now, this is in spite of assurances from the Commission that it's on the verge of securing clearance from the Ministry of Finance.
Shortly, we'll hear from the leadership of TEU, who just came out of a meeting with government. But first, let's take you across the country to assess the impact of the strike. Here's a report by my colleague Kweku Asante from the University of Ghana.
In spite of the strike action embarked upon by members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, students of the University of Ghana were seen going about their usual business that characterized the reopening of schools, registering to be granted access to their halls. The impact of the strike action is still yet to be felt, as a few members of TEU are still at post going about their usual routines. The Teachers and Educational Workers Union is an association of a section of staff members of public educational institutions. Their composition include drivers, artisans, hall assistants, security personnel, and some administrative staff in public educational institutions. General Secretary of TEU, Mark Cranche, insisted that government was treating them unfairly.
When the issue of non-basic allowance came up, primarily it was because free SHS and its attendant numbers are going to increase, and therefore the numbers in the universities are going to increase. And so government thought it wise that let us give some cushioning to our lecturers. As soon as our senior members, non-academic, heard about it, they also made a proposal to government. And as a matter of urgency, this was addressed, and senior members, non-academic, were also roped in. Fortunately for us, TEU members are the ones who work on the payroll. And so we saw it, and then we drew attention to government that this thing you are doing, if care is not taken, and if you don't extend it to everybody on campus, it will create problems. Yes.
Mark Cranche also noted that they will ensure compliance to the directive to members to strike.
We are saying that all TEU members must lay down their tools. We are sending people to go around and ensure total compliance.
So that's the situation at the University of Ghana. Let me take you now to the Central Region. Correspondent Richard Kojonyako reports on the situation at the University of Cape Coast.
Members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union at the University of Cape Coast on Wednesday gathered at their popular bottom tree to take a decision on whether to join the strike called by their mother union or not. They were unanimous in their chants. Local UCC TEU chairman Charles Williams has been addressing members, stating the reasons for their strike. He indicates until something is done and their issues addressed, they will not go back to work.
On our campus, we have UTAG, we have GAWA, we have SA, that is Senior Staff Association, and we have TEU. All these associations are university-based, with the exception of TEU. But UTAG were given 18% than basic allowance. And the purpose with which those allowances were given was that the intake, because of free SHS, the intake will be high. And for that matter, that 18% will cushion them for them to be able to work hard. So we are saying that we are also on campus. We do the same work as they also does. So why do you have to single out? This is de facto segregation. And I don't think in any sociological lingo, this kind of thing will be happening.
Richard Kojinako fathered report from the University of Cape Coast. Earlier, we got the indication that the meeting was over a while ago, but we understand that they're actually still in the meeting. And once that is done, we'll get to speak to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission as well as the leadership of TEU to find out if they've been able to resolve the issues.
Well, and that's as soon as we get that, we'll bring that to you subsequently. But please keep your comments coming in as via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. This is Newsnight. When we return from business, health alert. Be wary of stray dogs because there's an outbreak of rabies in parts of the country.
We have outbreaks all over the country. People die quietly or they die with some horrific deaths.
We'll bring you details after business with George. We have here. Hello, George.
Hi, Kojo and Emefa.
Why the smile on the face?
Well, you know, when I hear any outbreak of something, I was like, we are even not still done with COVID yet. Even though there are some
I think it's localized.
Today, we're having a debate on our hallway. One person saying that, listen, there are a lot of diseases that are killing a lot of people as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
From COVID.
Yeah.
And,
remember, we dealt with meningitis in the northern part of the country during COVID.
And even malaria as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Still killing.
killing
COVID is getting all the attention.
All the attention.
Does it deserve it? I think it does.
Yeah, and sometimes when you drive through town and the sound about the lady saying that,
God has taken it away.
Is interesting. That's why sometimes you are forced to say that God help those who are there, even though it's not in the Bible though.
COVID is real.
Well, Emefa, coming up in business, government misses out on is the 2020 end of year single inflation rate target after Scott Service released the December numbers. And Chinese firm CHY was deepens as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center commences separate investigations into their activities after accusing them of going against the investment regulations. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, the number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And Allianz Insurance, we secure your future.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *156# to access your statement on MTN. We are good together. We there for you everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Allianz Life Insurance, we secure your future. Allianz Life Insurance, we secure your future. Allianz Life Insurance, yeah, bohudachi ubai. Allianz Life Insurance, yeah, bohudachi ubai. Allianz Life Insurance since 1890. At Allianz Life Ghana, we have a wide range of life insurance.
packages, suits or pockets for individuals, groups, associations, and businesses.
We cover your employees, your funerals, pensions, and children's education, project, and your future. Call us on 0302 267 892 or visit our website www.alliance-g8.com for more inquiries. Alliance Live, we secure your future.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government has missed out on its end-of-year single-digit inflation target. Now, this was after the Ghana Statistical Service released the inflation rate for the month of December, which hit 10.4%. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2020 budget projected an end-of-month December rate of 8, that is -2 or +2. Now, this is seen as one of those crucial macroeconomic targets that might have demonstrated government's full commitment to fiscal discipline because of its impact on the whole economy as well. Whilst also many people depended on it for their plan. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenin has been explaining what accounted for the spike in the rate for the month of December.
We still see that food dominates its contribution to overall inflation. Unlike the past 7 months where the contribution of food has hovered between 50 and 55%, for the first time in 7 months, we see that contribution of food has again inched up by 6.1%, increasing from 53.0% to 59.1%. The last time that we recorded such a high contribution of food inflation to overall inflation was in the month of April 2020 during the COVID-19 era, where contribution of food stood at 59.6%. The contribution of food as we see for December 2020 is the second highest for the year 2020. Food continued to drive the overall inflation that we recorded, that is the 10.4 inflation figure that we recorded. We look at the disaggregation on a year-on-year basis at the division level, and as was indicated, we have 13 divisions, and these divisions ranges from housing, water, electricity, and gas to education services.
Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenin. Now, this could actually impact on the cost of living, credit, and returns on investment for the next 1 month. Now, Chinese firm CHY could in the coming days find itself in some hot waters. Now, this was after the Ghana Investment Promotion Center revealed that it has commenced some investigations into the operations. It's also coming at a time when the Securities and Exchange Commission has made a formal complaint to the Economic and Organized Crime Office. We have more in the following Business Desk report.
The Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, first in their statement noted that even though SHI had registered with them, the approval does not allow the firm to undertake any capital market activity. The center was, however, quick to add that it will begin its own investigations into the issue to establish the facts on the ground. GIPC also stated that it will be working with the relevant security and government agencies on dealing with the concerns raised. The GIPC also added that registering with its outfits to do business in the country does not give any firm an automatic right to engage in other sectors and activities without the required approval and license from those areas. In a separate development, the Securities and Exchange Commission has also made a formal complaint to the Economic Organized Crime Office to carry out their own investigations into the issue. If it's established that SHI has indeed breached the provisions for the license from the GIPC, the state could begin some criminal prosecution of its management or shareholders. But in all, these questions arise on what will happen to investment and funds of depositors, if there are any. Also, could government be called upon to bail them out if there is any problem, or because they were not licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission, they will be left out?
And that was a Business Desk report. Now, Labour consultant Austin Game is making a strong case for some compromise between unions and employers on job guarantees and service conditions for this year. Now, workers has been one of the hardest hit in terms of layoffs as a result of the COVID-19 impact on businesses in the country. Mr. Game tells job businesses time for both parties to reach a consensus on this issue.
in labor relations where it is possible to lay off people without necessarily paying them, so that you have a guaranteed assurance for them that when the company returns to normalcy, let's say after 3 months or 6 months, as the case may be, then you are guaranteed your job of continuity. That way you are protecting your back. If we are demanding excessive payment, 100% payment as if work is normal, even 50% as if work is normal, you will live to regret it. So I want to suggest strongly that unions, employers should get together quickly.
Austin Game is a labor consultant. Now, some businesses are pushing for some additional stimulus package to help firms that have been hit badly by the coronavirus as they are struggling to recover. Now, some firms are actually struggling to recover, being hit badly by the pandemic. Now, President of the African Investment Group, Dr. Sam Ankra, tells Joy Business this might be one of the best ways to help in the recovery of the economy.
I'm talking about having deliberate policies that would understand the issues at hand and address them square up so that businesses can have the freeway. Because as for businesses, all we're looking for is an enabling environment, not cash in hand. So once you create the enabling environment for the businesses, I believe that the businesses themselves can get out of this recession and help with the economic boom. Like I said, I've stated the various areas that we're expecting government to take deliberate policies and invest heavily into it. And if these are done, and I'm sure it will cut across the spectrum of the economy.
The president of the African Investment Group, Dr. Sam Ankra. To the stock market, if you're a shareholder in gold, it was up by £1 today to close at 1 Ghana cedi, 51 pesos. Societe General was also up by £2 to close at 66 pesos. So some good news for shareholders of Guel and Societe General at the end of trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Back to you, Kojo, Manu, and Emefa Apawu.
Thank you very much, George, for bringing us business. And a few of you have been sending us messages on our WhatsApp console. That's 05511119997. Yakubu in Sandagfungu says the NPP and their supporters can think otherwise of our election petition, but the evidence of the NDC is watertight and that will be presented to the Apex Court. Let's see how this pans out. This one says 2012, we were told by the judges that the elections are won at the polling stations, but John Mahama and his NDC believe in their Mahama mantra, and that has brought them to where they are now. Another one here from Katoki in Tema says they should forget and reinforce themselves for 2024. That's Abdul Katoki in Tema. There's also another one here. This one says, this one coming from, okay, this is Cashboy in Ho, says that this time there's nothing like majority or minority in Ghana's parliament. That is the decision made by Ghanaians, and it needs to be respected by the politicians. Let me take another one here from Anloga in Lashibi. It says that, to be frank, no matter what the NPP and their lawyers do, JM and NDC is going to win the court case. All right, let's see how all of that goes. It begins tomorrow. Wolanyo in Akwetia says the NDC has no tangible reason to justify the election petition in the Supreme Court, but just to shift their incompetency to the doorstep of the EC and the duly elected president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. One more comment. The petition that instructs or orders the EC to correct errors is replete with avoidable errors. Mahama is just seeking the NDC's mandate for 2024, and that's Kusi from Ejiso.
Well, this is Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. Before the break, we were talking about COVID-related matters. We'll be getting into it shortly and bring you the FDA communication on that. But first, Presidential Affairs Correspondent Elton Brobe joins us in the studio. He comes bearing news always.
And Emefa is always excited when we have to invite Elton. But Elton, what do you have for us?
Well, this has nothing to do with ministerial presidential appointment. This is a reaction from the Office of the Judicial Secretary, and it relates to allegation of bribery against a Supreme Court judge by the NDC Chief Whip Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak. This is dated today, January 13, 2021. It says that the judiciary has noted with grave concern the remarks of Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak, Honorable Member of Parliament for Asawase, which have been widely published in the media, alleging that a justice of the Supreme Court attempted to bribe an NDC female Member of Parliament to vote for the Right Honorable Aaron Michael Quay in the election of Speaker of the 8th Parliament, which took place on the 7th of January 2021. The general public is hereby assured that the Honorable Chief Justice considers this allegation inappropriate, a matter of grave importance to the integrity of the judiciary. The Honorable Chief Justice is therefore taking steps to solicit the assistance of Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak MP to establish the facts in order that the matter can be dealt with appropriately. The public will be apprised of any further development in due course. And this is signed by Justice Cynthia Pamela Ado, Judicial Secretary, Emefa.
Thank you very much, Elton Brobe, with that latest communication on that bribery allegation made by NDC Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak on the probe last Sunday. That there were he made allegations that a Supreme Court justice attempted to bribe a female MP to vote for Professor Aaron Michael Quay, and there's been a response to that.
Judiciary.
Exactly. But we move on to some other stories now, and the Food and Drugs Authority says information about the availability and sale of COVID-19 vaccines in some hospitals and other health facilities is false. According to the authority, some members of the business community are peddling this falsehood ostensibly to draw traffic to well-known pharmaceutical brands. Ernest, you have a copy of that statement?
Yes, the FDA says that the general public is hereby cautioned against the patronage of such vaccines, since the FDA has not yet approved any COVID-19 vaccine for use in Ghana. In view of the above, the FDA wishes to inform all health facilities and the general public that peddling of such information contravenes Section 118 of the Public Health Act 2012, Act 851, and constitutes a very serious offense. The authority wants to assure the general public that it remains committed to protecting the health and safety of consumers. To this end, it monitors social media and online activities pertaining to the products it regulates. Therefore, anyone caught dealing with unregistered COVID-19 vaccines will be sanctioned in accordance with the provisions of Section 129 of Act 851, which includes a fine of up to 180,000 Ghana cedis or a term of imprisonment of up to 25 years or both. Please do note that COVID-19 vaccines is approved by the FDA for use, that when it is approved by the FDA for use in Ghana, the Ministry of Health will issue a national policy on the use of the vaccine throughout the health sector.
Okay, so from one statement to the other, we have more on COVID, but let's do sports now with Hans Mensando. Then we'll bring you more on that. Hans.
Hi, Emefa. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Hans.
Manchester United did, pretty well yesterday. Your London club, they find themselves top of the Premier League table.
It's my London club here.
It's your London club. That was a club you support in London.
No, it's not.
So let's talk about Ghana's under-17, the Black Starlets, and they exited the WAFU under-17 championship yesterday. But General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Harrisonado, is insisting the development of the team remains top priority despite their exit from the competition. Ghana will not be represented at this year's Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations following the Black Starlets group stage exit at the WAFU Zone B Championship. Ghana got eliminated after losing 3-1 to the Ivory Coast.
The lack of qualification should not be a reason for us not to continue with our development. Already, the World Cup will not come on as per the circular from FIFA. CAF decided that we should continue with the WAFO and the AFCON at the 17 level so that we can use it to develop our players. So even though we've not qualified, our policy and plans remains the same. We need to give the players more campaign, more exposure in terms of international matches. And so we'll work at it and ensure that even though we'll not go to the competition, we'll endeavor to play international matches and then expose the boys as we should. So the fact that we didn't qualify shouldn't hinder our progress of development.
That's General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Harrisonado, speaking there. And in England, Manchester City, they are up against Brighton and Hove Albion. First half of that game played, the City lead by 1-0, and Jose Mourinho Stadium Hotspur also locked lock horns with Fulham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, while in Spain, FC Barcelona, who will be without their main man, Lionel Messi, face Real Sociedad in the Super Cup semi-final clash. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans. Ernest, when was the last time you went to the market?
Well, I don't remember.
Because you've never been to the market.
Oh, I go to the market, but not as often as you do.
Do you cook?
Of course I cook.
What can you cook?
Everything except palm nut soup.
So this weekend you cook me banku and okra soup.
No problem.
Okay, we'll see about that. But there's sheer, disregard for COVID-19 safety protocols in most places that we visited. Where we did a quick scan, and you realize that most traders do not wear face masks. Already, more than 330 people have died with the virus, and many more are sick with it. In Accra, the Yawaso Central Municipal Assembly wants to take steps to deal with this crisis. Joining us is Judith Awotritando, has been to some markets in the municipality and reports many traders still doubt the existence of the virus.
Here I am at the Nima Market Center, where business is booming as usual. But even with the COVID-19 pandemic still in the system, the safety protocols are not being observed. Market women here say that the pandemic no longer exists.
I believe God has taken away the virus because of the prayers we've made.
Because if
COVID-19 was truly in the system, we would have all been dead by now. I'll never get the virus. God forbid.
Outside Ghana. There's
no virus. It's no longer in the system. We were told the virus will last for 2 weeks, but it's been a year now. We still don't know anyone with the virus. The situation at the Malata Market Center is not any different. Most local traders and customers do not seem to be bothered about the rising cases.
But since that last year, this incident has happened, we haven't seen any cases that arise that maybe you see that you can just point this one, say that this one gets that infected of that disease. So as for me, I'm not sure that it has been in the system.
We are tired of hearing about this virus. Our blood is surely thicker than the virus. Safety protocols serve to protect the individual and public from the harmful effects of the virus. Wearing the mask is one of them. Mask up. That's the plea of Ghana's health officers who are worried about the rising cases. Judith Awotritando for Joy News.
So, to ensure compliance with the protocols, the Ayawaso Central MC Mohammed Kwe has indicated an educational campaign will be embarked upon on Monday.
They don't know it's rising. The disease is there. And some even say they thought it's gone. It needs thorough education, vivid education. So we are starting on Monday, my coordinating director and other staff, because we have had some nose mask. Then you come in with the police. But coming in with the police still need education before. So it will cover all our areas. Alado, Malata, and marketplaces. We have Newtown Market, Malata Market, Alado Market, Tipto Market, and other smaller markets. So gradually, as we are doing, it will improve.
That is the MCE for Ayawaso Central, Mohammed Kwe. And Emefa, we've been to the malls as well. So from the market, we move to the malls. Interestingly, they are doing well with the measures. Mamiesi Thompson reports.
The Accra and Marina malls host hundreds of people daily, including tenants and shoppers, which makes adhering to the protocols even more crucial now that COVID-19 cases are surging.
When you just enter, you put your hand in that sanitizer machine, the sanitizer comes out, you sanitize your hand.
Shoppers are expected to come wearing face masks, given temperature checks, provided with hand sanitizers at the entrances, and other strategic spots for shoppers and also for staff.
Okay, I think it's been the same since 2020, and for someone who has been using this place since last year, I come here, I know that the first thing I have to do is use the sanitizer, and They always make sure that it's available.
So far, so good. You know, they are they make sure that you wear your mask, which is very good.
Well, I think they've got sanitizers in place, so that's cool.
Marketing manager at Accra Mall, Anthony Asamoah, says that protection and well-being of shoppers are a top priority at all times.
The number of people coming without nose masks were a few, but right now it looks like the people who are coming are a lot without nose masks, and we have made it like a compulsory initiative. Without the nose mask, you cannot enter the Accra Mall. And we don't do this with any malice. We do it because we care about everybody. We want everybody to be safe, everybody to be comfortable in Accra Mall.
With more than 700 visitors daily, the Marina Mall has also put in place similar measures to prevent spread. Operations Manager Collins Mensah spoke to Joy News.
Ghanaians are sometimes stubborn. You ask them to wear their face masks, then what they'll tell you is, I find it difficult to breathe when I'm wearing the face mask. So we are always ensuring that whoever enters the mall wears the face mask.
Their shoppers and tenants indicated their adherence to the protocols. For Joy News, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson.
Well, COVID is real. Wherever you are, you need to wear your face mask. Protect your loved ones because, indeed, people are still dying out of COVID. Jesus has not taken away all the COVID years like the
we need to do our bit.
Yeah, you need to do your bit.
That's a familiar sound, Emefa.
But I'm sorry.
I don't like dogs. I don't know about you.
Oh, I do. I love them. But there's a health alert. Health officials are warning of an outbreak of rabies across the country. The viral disease is mostly spread by infected dogs and is almost always fatal. The recent outbreak in Ghana has been traced to an attack by some hunting dogs on their owners, some in the Kpong Katamanso municipality. Latif Idris has more.
According to the World Health Organization, dogs are causing 99% of rabies transmission to human. Rabies kills not less than 100 Ghanaians annually, a trend that can be eliminated with an aggressive vaccination campaign. But until then, infected dogs spread the virus by biting unsuspecting owners and fellow canines. 17-year-old Emmanuel Donko had a grim experience with his favorite puppy a few days ago.
We woke up in the morning and the dog was restless. It was running up and down, and my big brother asked we to bath for it. So we bathed for it, and I was holding it so that the water would dry off. Then we'll put him back to the cage. Then all of a sudden it bit me on my leg.
Laboratory tests conducted on the puppy later revealed it had been infected with rabies. Director of Veterinary Services at the Greater Accra Veterinary Directorate, Dr. Edu Kuma, tells Joy News the rabies outbreak is widespread and silently killing many people.
Ghana is endemic to rabies, so we have outbreaks all over the country. People die quietly, or they die with some horrific deaths. And because the signs sometimes mimic, these neurological signs, people may attribute some of the death to witches and other reasons. Witchcraft, which may not be necessarily reported to the medical officers, the health authorities, as that is rabies.
And that's Latif Idris's report.
So beware of dogs.
Yeah,
like they say.
beware of dogs, yeah.
And for those of you who have dogs, take them to the veterinary and have them checked on.
Yeah, and that's it for tonight's edition of Newsnight. And coming up next is Strong and Sassy with the Nimu Animado. Guess what? We're bringing
back
Sexy back. And she'll be joining us shortly with that, Reinventing Yourself for a Fabulous 2021. I'm very, very interested in that. Anymore?
Yes, Emefa.
Are you bringing Sexy back?
We are definitely bringing Sexy back.
You.
I've started wearing heels from January 1st.